Good afternoon, Jets Nation. Welcome to the Jew Jet Show. And it's week 16. This week, the New York Jets are playing the Jacksonville Jaguars on Thursday Night Football. So can the New York Jets finish the season 1-0 on prime time? Let's go ahead and talk about it. So the Jets are, of course, playing the Jaguars this week, and the Jags are the hottest team in the AFC right now. And they remind me a lot of the Detroit Lions, the hottest team in the NFC. Both teams have won a lot of their past two games that propelled themselves into the playoff discussions. Both teams also have been getting carried by their offenses as both units are in the top 10, and haven't been getting carried by their defenses as both teams have units in the bottom 10 of the NFL. And I mentioned the Jaguars offense has been carrying them to those wins. A big reason to why the Jaguars offense has been playing so well is because the number 1 overall pick from last season, Trevor Lawrence, has been playing exceptionally well. He's looking like the generational talented player we all thought he was going to be in the NFL, while the guy who was picked one selection after him hasn't exactly been playing like that. This is, of course, the reason why this game is on primetime television. Number 1 overall pick versus number 2 overall pick. Into the season, playoff implications on the line, it's going to be a feisty one. Now, Trevor Lawrence has been propelling Jaguars to wins this season, while Zach Wilson has been doing the literal opposite. I mean, the dude was benched mid-season for crying out loud. And last week against the Detroit Lions, blame who you want, but I'm blaming the Jets offense and Zach Wilson for the loss, because 317 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. While that might be a good stat line for Zach Wilson and the best he's played all season, wasn't enough against the Detroit Lions. Mike White would have easily thrown for over 400 yards in that game. The Lions do not have a good defense, and Zach Wilson missed a lot of throws in that game as well. And not to mention an interception that led to 3 Detroit Lions points. And while the Jaguars allowed the 6th most yards per game with 370 and the 4th most passing yards per game with 252, they do have 12 interceptions on the season as well, but I just don't necessarily think Zach Wilson has it in him to have a good game against the Jaguars. I mean, he might throw for over 300 yards again, but I don't think any performance he's going to give in this game is going to propel the New York Jets to a win. I don't necessarily think Zach Wilson has what it takes to give the New York Jets a big playoff implicating win in December. He does have some things going for him this week, though, like the return of wide receiver Corey Davis. He's trending towards playing this week, so it looks like 84 is going to be back on the field. Zach Wilson's veteran wide receiver, that's great to have him back as well. We all know Zach Wilson is a much better player whenever the pocket is clean. The Detroit Lions have the 27th most sacks in the NFL with 26, so it looks like Zach Wilson's probably going to be in a clean pocket this week. But unless he gets bailed out by the run game, I don't necessarily think Zach Wilson's going to do enough with this offense to propel the Jets to a win. Does he get bailed out by his run game? Well, it's hard to say, because the Jets' run game, ever since Breece Hall tore his ACL, has been very inconsistent. They've given us some really good performances, and they've given us some really bad performances, like they did last week against the Detroit Lions, where they totaled 50 rushing yards, which is also unacceptable against one of the league's worst rushing defenses. The Jaguars' rushing defense is solid. It's actually literal middle of the pack. They have the 16th best rushing defense in the NFL this year, while they allow 118 yards per game. So it's hard to say whether or not the Jets' run game is going to get going this week, because it's just too unpredictable. But I do think Bam Knight, Michael Carter able to rack up some yards in this game. Do think the Jets finish this one with at least 120 yards on the ground. But now let's go ahead and talk about the defensive unit that has been keeping Jets in games this season. Well, as I said in the intro, the Jaguars do have a top 10 offense in the NFL, and in fact, it's actually the 6th best offense in the NFL. They average 367 yards per game. But their offense has been very inconsistent this season. You know, last week against the Dallas Cowboys, a team that is a very good defense, they put up 40. The week before that, they put up 36 against a bad Tennessee Titans defense. But 3 weeks ago, against the Detroit Lions, they only put up 14 points. I mean, talk about inconsistent. I mean, the Jaguars' offense has literally been the definition of that. But I mean, as I said in the intro, once again, Trevor Lawrence has been doing everything he can to give the Jaguars wins this season, and that's exactly what he did last week. I mean, 318 passing yards, 4 touchdowns, 1 interception, but he balled out against the NFL's third best passing defense. I mean, the performances Trevor Lawrence has been giving these past few weeks has just put him on top of the world, but I do think the New York Jets are able to pull him back down to earth this week. I mean, we've just seen what Sauce Gardner, DJ Reed, and Michael Carter have done to opposing quarterbacks all season long. Josh Allen, Kirk Cousins weren't able to eclipse 200 passing yards in the games they played against us this season. Jared Goff got 200 passing yards in the literal final 2 minutes of the game. I mean, the Jets' passing defense has done an excellent job this season, and they're going to continue to do an excellent job this week against Trevor Lawrence. Jaguars also have the 10th best rushing offense in the NFL. The Jets, for the most part of the season, have done a solid job stopping the run. They haven't been, I wouldn't necessarily say inconsistent, just some weeks we don't do a great job at it. But I mean, last week, without Quinnen Williams, the Jets were able to do a good job stopping the run, so I think we're going to do that this week. And as I said, the Jets didn't have Quinnen Williams this week, who is trending towards playing Thursday against the Jacksonville Jaguars, which is absolutely huge for us because not only is he going to bring run support, he's also going to bring a pass rush, something the New York Jets didn't have last week against the Detroit Lions. We recorded 0 sacks, and because we recorded 0 sacks, Jared Goff had literal all the time in the world against us last week. And you can't give Trevor Lawrence all the time in the world because he will cook, even against a defense like the New York Jets. So with Quinnen Williams back this week, that's definitely going to open up the pass rush. The Jaguars do have a good offensive line. They only allowed 24 sacks this season, which ranks very, very low. I mean, a lot of teams have allowed a lot of sacks this season, so only 24 sacks allowed is a very good number. But last week, everyone saw the headlines the Jaguars made. They came back 27-10 on the Dallas Cowboys. And this wasn't the first time this season they have came back and won it. I mean, the Jaguars' offense thrives when they're in clutch mode. So the Jets' defense, if we have a big lead in this game, which I don't think we will, but if Zach Wilson is able to give the New York Jets like a 20-point, 10-point lead in this game, the Jets' defense is going to have to do everything they can to ensure that that lead is not broken. Because once Trevor Lawrence gets going, once he's down from behind, it's hard to stop him from going. And the Jets do have a really good fourth quarter defense. We're a really good fourth quarter team in general. We have one of the best point differentials in the NFL in the fourth quarter. So I do think we're able to do a good job at stopping the Jaguars if they were to make a comeback. But we really have to make sure that a comeback doesn't happen this week for Trevor Lawrence. So can the New York Jets get a massive playoff implicating win in the middle of December? I think the Jaguars won this one 17-14. I mean, it pains me to say it. As much as I want the Jets to win, I don't think we do it this week. I mean, I'm prepared to get disappointed. I really am. But what are you guys' thoughts on the game? What are you guys' thoughts on the video? Do you think the Jets win? Do we lose? Do we tie it? Let me know down below. And I'm your host, Jet, signing off for now. See you guys later.